Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. This is Kyra and today I'm going to be showing you how to turn coffee filters into these beautiful little layered fans with plenty of pockets for ephemera pieces. And these are just some really cute embellishments that can go straight into your junk journal as a place to store ephemera in. So just keep in mind that if you really fill these up, they will take up some space and get kind of thick in your journal. So just make sure to leave room for that or don't overfill them. Now for this project, I'm going to be using our new vintage color papers, and these come in 7 different colors and are full-sized journal paper sheets. I printed mine at 4 to a page, and you might have seen this if you've been following our channel. I used these in an earlier project. But I mostly just did that to save space. So you don't have to do this, but I didn't want to print off all of the papers when I knew I was only using a little bit. So feel free to skip this step if you have paper to spare, or you can shrink your papers down in your page settings on your printer. Alright, so now that we have our colors picked, I am also going to grab some Fussy cuts. These are the new summer season Fussy cuts that we have in our shop, and I picked these because they had like the pinks, the purple, and the yellows, which are the colors that I'm working with today. And I did print these off at a smaller size. I printed them off at around 50%, and that was just to make them small enough to be kind of workable in the next few projects that I'm going to be doing with them. So a little bit smaller just worked better for me. You can use any Fussy cuts. We have lots of butterfly Fussy cuts you can choose from. It doesn't have to be this kit, but I did like that the colors match, so that's what I'm using. And I'm also going to be using these coffee filters. These are the unbleached natural brown ones. I picked these up at Walmart. They're pretty widely available, so most stores should carry these. You can use distress ink if you don't have like the unbleached coffee filters and want to make them look aged, but something I noticed was that these coffee filters didn't take the ink as well. Something about the material just didn't seem to like it as much, so just keep that in mind if you want to give that a try. And then the ephemera pieces I'm using are just from various kits, so just use whatever you have on hand for that. Alright, so to get started, I'm going to grab one coffee filter here, just like this, and we're going to begin by folding it in half. And when we fold it in half, you want to try to make sure that these folds kind of line up evenly. If they're off, it just doesn't fold as nicely, so try to line those up if you can. And then go ahead and crease along the fold. And don't worry if the coffee filter tries to kind of like fold and bend itself. That's perfectly normal, so you can ignore that. And then we're going to fold it in half again, so kind of making it into a quarter fold here. Same thing, try to line up the wrinkles at the top to kind of layer and lay nicely with one another. And then again, creasing along the folds, just like this. And you can see this is where we're going to start getting all of those layers to make our pockets. And again, don't worry if your filter wants to kind of like fold and bend awkwardly. As we work, it'll start to take on its like flat shape. So don't be too concerned with that. And we're going to open it up, going back kind of like to our second fold here. And we're going to add glue along the flat edge at the bottom here. And glue those two pieces together, just like this. And that's going to close up that one side and sort of finalize our pockets. Now make sure to let this dry before trying to peel your layers apart. I just kind of wanted to show you what it would look like, but make sure this is fully dry before you mess with those. And I'm going to be using some of these paper lace doilies that we have. This is available in our Amazon influencer shop, linked down below if you're interested. And I'm just going to be gluing the edges of the coffee filter down. I'm not adding glue to this like sort of top ruffly part because I still want to be able to tuck ephemera back there, so I'm leaving it open. And then grabbing one of my decorative papers here, I'm going to use the corner to kind of line up with the corner of the coffee filter at the bottom here like this. And that's going to kind of help me figure out where I want to sort of cut my shape out. So I'm going to go over to this opposite corner here and fold it to the other side, kind of going backwards like this. And then that bottom corner is kind of like my center point for my fold here. This is kind of one of those things that's easier to show than to talk about, but hopefully you can kind of follow along here and see what I'm doing. So we have this center crease that's kind of in the middle here, and that's going to help me when cutting my shape to make sure it's even on both sides. And how tall or how short you want your shape is kind of up to you depending where you want to cut it. I think I'm going to try to aim to make mine about that tall here. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut kind of a heart shape, just a slight sort of curve here to kind of mimic the folds on the fan. And this is what that shape kind of looks like. It's slightly heart shaped. You could go with more of like a rounded top if you want, or you could go for maybe more of an angled cut to get something maybe like a diamond or a triangle. I'll show a couple of those towards the end. I did a few different shapes here, but you can play around and just see what shapes you can get. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with this little heart here. I think it's kind of cute. And make sure to do any distress ink before you glue it down. I often forget to do that. And I'm going to glue my piece down entirely. You could leave the top open for like another tuck space if you wanted to. I'm just going to keep mine decorative for now. And I'm going to glue it down to my fan. Feel free to trim off any extra if you need to. Mine is fitting pretty well here, so I'm going to leave it. And I'm going to fold my doily over the edges like this and glue that down as well, just to be sort of another decorative element. And if you don't happen to have a lace doily on hand, you could use paper and like cut out a similar shape, like a circle, and kind of use that to sort of wrap around the coffee filter as well. Feel free to experiment and get creative and just try new things and see what works. And then for my final decorating here, I'm going to be taking one of those fussy cut butterflies. I'm going to fold it in half to give it some dimension, and then I'm just going to glue it in the center of my little pocket fan here. And this is what it turned out looking like in the end. So the last thing to do is add some ephemera pieces in. I like to start with my tallest or largest pieces in the back, and then my smallest pieces in the front to make sure that you can see everything. Again, you might not want to overfill these if you only have so much space in your journal. So, just keep that in mind and test things out as you go. But they do hold quite a bit of ephemera, so if you've got the space, that's a really good way to organize all of your little ephemera pieces. As far as decorating the other coffee filters go, I'm going to do one with some layered pieces here. So it's the same technique, except that I stacked 3 different papers on top of each other. And then I'm going to cut the next one a little bit shorter, and then the last one a little bit shorter than that. So you should be able to see all of the layers when they're stacked on top of each other like this. Again, just very simple decorating. You could get as creative as you want with this, really play around with shapes, textures, different types of fussy cuts and arrangements. So, just have fun, experiment, try different things out. These go really fast, so you could make a lot of them and really just, have fun with how you decorate them and what you fill them with. So, feel free to experiment. We do have a Facebook group that you could join and share any of these that you happen to make, and so help other people to get ideas as well. And the way that you might put these in a journal is you could put them in, straight into the center of the page, or maybe tuck them into a corner. Those were the 2 ways I could think of, but if you think of anything else, let me know. Maybe paper clipping them onto a page, I don't know. Let me know if you come up with any other ideas. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!